Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel Vigil, taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel Vigil.
Happy Wednesday. NHL trade deadline set for Friday. Will the Avs make any moves? Plus, they added somebody new onto their roster. And then, of course, the number one question everyone seems to be wondering, will Val Nichushkin play tonight? And to answer that question, hopefully, or at least give his opinion, we will bring in Jesse Montano from Gorilla Sports. Jesse, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. The sun, it's a nice day here in Denver. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. You and I were talking. We are recording this a little bit early. I know you are down there at morning skate today, but one of the big questions everyone wants to know is, will Val Nichushkin play tonight? Jared Bednar has not answered that question, saying he's still waiting to get cleared from the NHL, but I'm curious your opinion. You obviously saw him out there at morning skate.
Yeah, in terms of how he looks, I mean, he looks ready to go to me. Like, it looks like he could jump right back in, to the lineup. But using a couple of our kind of context clues, jersey color he's wearing, reps he's taking here at morning skate, no, it does not look to me like Val will be going tonight, Rachel. My guess is probably Friday. That way he's got the full week. He's been able to practice with them, 5 days this week, feel really good about, being up to game speed, in-game shape, all of that. But it looks like he's doubtful for tonight. Obviously, things can always change at the last second, but as of right now, it does not look like he's going to be going tonight against the Red Wings.
Okay, well, great to know, and thank you for those context clues. That always helps. But This team is pretty much a different team when Val's out there and when he's not out there. If you just look at the records that they've had in previous seasons for times that he missed last year compared to when he was out there, like, it's a team that's clearly struggling, but when Val can be out there, this team can be a contender at any point.
Yeah, he's developed into the elite player that a lot of people thought he had the potential to be when the Dallas Stars took him 10th overall. The way that the Avs acquired him a few years back, free agent on a league minimum deal, kind of a show me contract. I think people forget this is a top 10 pick who had, a really, really high ceiling. A lot of people in his draft year thought that the Dallas Stars got the steal of the draft, his combination of size, speed, skill, and we're seeing all that play out here in Colorado. He is a legitimate elite level player, not quite to the Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon, level, but he is another player of that similar caliber and just pushes them into a different level. You're right. I don't have it offhand, but the records are ridiculous. The when he's in the lineup versus when he's not, it's very obvious he makes this team significantly better. He doesn't just have an impact, here or there. He makes them significantly better top to bottom.
Well, and with the question of his return obviously coming soon, we don't know exactly when, but soon, it also opens up the question about the trade deadline. Is Val Nichushkin enough to kind of push this team over to the fact of, hey, we can be contenders if he's out there, or do they still need help? And have you heard any rumors on if they will be making a move before Friday?
Yeah, so I'll answer this on the Val side first. I was having a conversation with someone, recently, and I thought they put it best that Val Nichushkin coming back to the lineup is a bigger addition than the Avs could make anywhere on the trade market. Obviously, that's kind of tongue-in-cheek because he's part of the roster, all that stuff, but he's been out now for 2 months.
Yeah.
That's significant. I'm rounding up just a little bit, but about 2 months. That's a long stretch to be without a player of that caliber. So getting him back, that's going to be the biggest boost that they get this week, no matter what. Trade deadline, I'm absolutely expecting them to make a bigger move. We've seen them kind of put themselves in a position to make a move, right? They dealt Curtis McDermott, freed up the cap space there. They've done a couple things that help them get a little bit more flexibility here. I haven't heard any specifics. The Avs are notoriously tight-lipped as an organization.
Yes,
but
they
right
are.
now, Rachel, the sense is that they're going a little like big game hunting. Like, they're wanting to make a splash. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to, right? We see this with this Avs management over the last couple of years where they're in on everything. They're checking in on the prices for the big name players, the players that they can help, make some tweaks, and it's always kind of a mystery of where they land. But I think they are trying to make an impact move here. I think they believe that, especially with the addition of Val Nichushkin, this is a team good enough to contend, even without Gabe Landeskog coming back. Let's not even get into if he does and what that means for this team. But I think this management group thinks that this is a team that can win a Stanley Cup this year, and they're going to try to add whatever pieces they need to help make that happen. The Avs are in they're benefiting a bit from the fact that there's no real runaway Stanley Cup favorite this year in the NHL. If you look at all the top teams, Boston, Toronto, Vegas, Edmonton, all of them have gone through these really weird up and down stretches, not unlike what the Avs have. So it really does feel kind of wide open among those top contending teams. So yes, the Avs have had struggles at points this year. Yes, they haven't been as dominant as they were a couple seasons ago, but this is absolutely a cup contender, and I think Chris McFarland's going to try to add.
Well, what's so crazy is for so long, right after the Avs won, we were like, this team, they could go win 2-3 Stanley Cups. They've got the pieces. Nathan McKinnon is locked down. Cale Makar is locked down. Yep. At the time, Gabriel Landeskog was locked down. Like, everyone was so high on this team, and this year it's just felt like such a roller coaster that it feels like a lot of people are hopping off before heartbreak. And I even saw The Athletic essentially came out and said that they expect the Avs to be a first or second round exit out of the playoffs. Do you think that that's enough of a chip on a shoulder for any of the guys, if they even do hear that kind of talk, to be like, hell no, we're Nathan McKinnon, we're Cale Makar, we're Valentin Nichushkin, Mikko Rantanen. We can be able to go further into the playoffs than a first or a second round exit.
I definitely think that there is a little bit of that, especially after last year getting bounced in the first round. I think there's a little bit of that. People are already writing us off. People already are talking about that we're, flash in the pan, one and done. And I do think that there is a part of this group that is out to disprove that, that they're not just a one and done. Look, it's so hard to judge eras and how did that core do. This group has a Stanley Cup. No matter what happens, this era of Colorado Avalanche hockey is a success, no doubt. But I'm with you, Rachel. Like, it just won't quite feel that way if they don't hang at least one more banner, maybe two more, because that is the quality of group, the core that they have here. Those names you just listed, throw Gabe Landeskog back in there. Again, you got a championship. That's what matters. But it really, really does feel like this group should get one, maybe even two more.
Okay, so first of all, I love that you said it's a success because they have the Stanley Cup. But can it be deemed a failure if you have these huge names and they can't win at least two?
Stanley Cups are so hard to win.
So hard, and I get that. But look at the names we're talking about, Jesse.
Totally. And my only counter to that, because you're right, is you look at the Boston Bruins. They have been perennially elite since 2010. Top of the Eastern Conference every year. Eastern Conference Finals. They've been to a couple Stanley Cup Finals. Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand, they got one Stanley Cup. And I think if you were to ask anybody in Boston, they would say, yes, this has been an all-time, legendary, group for the Boston Bruins. And they got there a couple times, but they couldn't get back over that hump. I still think that you look at that era of Bruins hockey and say, yes, it was a success, even though they only got one. But I'm with you. You got a lot of players here that are considered elite players that you've found a way to, finagle and fit under the salary cap. It will go down no matter what, as, hey, they got their cup, but I'm with you. It won't feel as good if they don't get, I would say, one or two more probably.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. Looking back to the trade deadline now, any names you've heard rumored to be possibly in connection to the Avs?
Nothing in particular.
They're so tight-lipped, they kill me.
It's crazy. I mean, you even talk to the big, national guys that are plugged in everywhere, and they'll say you don't get anything out of Colorado. I know they've kicked around on Jake Gensel from Pittsburgh. Rachel, my sense is, though, that if they do something of consequence, it's going to be one of those out of left field. Nobody had this name. Linked to the Avs. That is kind of the sense that I'm getting right now, just talking around to folks, that if they do something, and if they do something that, is significant, it's going to be a little bit of a, whoa, did not see that coming kind of deal. So, I think that C-Mac and Joe Sakic are, I think they got all kinds of gears turning right now. And they're doing a good job of keeping it quiet.
Oh, man, I'm sure they love it too. The bomb drops, and they're like, "Oh, we got these names," and Avalanche fans go crazy come Friday or before. We'll find out for sure.
Yeah.
Just looking ahead to tonight's game, Nathan MacKinnon
Mhm.
obviously can keep his point streak alive. Lots of people are very invested in this point streak. You and I have
Yeah.
talked about, if Nathan MacKinnon's super aware of it, if like they're always trying to give him the puck at some point. It feels like that when we kind of see, some of the celebrations or some of the chit chat afterwards, if we
Mhm.
see a goal or whatever it may be. But how are you feeling about tonight's game against the Red Wings?
Yeah, it's funny when he set up Arturi Lehkonen for that empty netter 2 home games ago, you could see everyone kind of like laughing and joking. So I think there real quick on the point streak. I remember talking to some folks when it hit whatever 14 games or something,
Mhm.
and the record is 40, held by Wayne Gretzky, and that was before the league went to 80 games. So there was only 40 games, 40 home games in a season, and we were like, wow, that's incredible, a point in every home game. That'll never happen. Well,
Mhm.
suddenly we're sitting here, Rachel, and we're 11 short of that. So, like, who knows? He could do it. I don't know. At this point, the way he's playing, I'm not going to rule it out. It's absolutely unbelievable to see what he's doing. I don't quite think people are like actually appreciating what he's done enough. We're in March. He has a point in every home game. The season started in October. Like, that is absolutely absurd. Um, I think the Avs are going to have some good motivation coming tonight. They did not like the way the game ended in Detroit, whatever that
Oh.
was, 2 weeks ago. They felt they were the better team. They felt they played well enough to win that game. They thought Justus Annunen absolutely played well enough to win that game,
Mhm.
and it just didn't. It just didn't go that way. So I think the Avs are going to have a little bit of an extra fire under their butts tonight. Hey, we got to get that one back. We let a point get away. And then you got JT Compher back in the building tonight for the first time. And guys, laugh it off, play it off, but that is a little bit of extra motivation for them. A bunch of guys were visiting with him on the bench here during morning skate. He came out of the Wings locker room, but yeah, I am. I'm expecting them to pick up the pace a little bit. They know that you got to get rolling here. You got to start, get rolling against good teams. And this is a desperate Detroit team looking to stay in the playoff race out east. I'm expecting a really strong effort for the Avs tonight.
All right, let's talk about Annunen really quick because, of
Okay.
course, they get the shutouts against the Chicago Blackhawks, and everybody's like, "Yes, Annunen can be the guy." They needed the backup goaltender during their cup run, etc.
Yeah.
Are we giving him too much credit, or are we not giving him enough credit for what he's been able to do so far this season?
So this season, this season in particular, I'll say he hasn't gotten enough credit. I think he hasn't gotten the results in every game, but I think his last 5 starts have been NHL caliber. Looks like an NHL goaltender. This is still a young goaltender in terms of how hockey goaltenders develop. He's still young. The Avs have been very high on him since they drafted him. I believe it was back in 2017.
Mhm.
3rd-round pick. They have felt this is a guy that has an NHL ceiling. To me, Rachel, he looks like he's starting to round into a solid NHL backup. Now, if he can keep getting better, keep improving, great. Here's kind of my philosophy with backups going into the playoffs. And Pavel Francouz was a bit of an anomaly because he was more of a 1B caliber goaltender when he
Mhm.
got to the NHL. If you're having to go to your backup in the playoffs, you're in trouble either way. I don't care who you are. If you don't have your strong number one that you feel good about, it's going to be an uphill climb. So I'm at the point, for me, if you're Jared Bednar and you feel comfortable giving Justus Annunen, let's just kind of make up a number here, 8 games of the last 20,
Okay.
so that Alexander Georgiev can get some rest, feel 100% going into the playoffs, then to me, you don't need to go out and spend the assets in the cap space on adding a goaltender at the deadline. I understand people's sentiment of like, oh, you need a backup goaltender going into the playoffs. But again, like, for me, if that's where you're going, you're in trouble anyways.
Mhm.
And the fact that Pavel Francouz swept the Edmonton Oilers in the Western Conference Final, one, was a sign of the fact that he was an above average backup. I have on some good sources that there were multiple teams lined up prepared to offer Pavel Francouz a starting job or a 1A job before the Avs locked him back up to be the backup here for 2 more years.
Wow.
He was an above average backup, right? And so that kind of just went with the whole magic of that season a couple of years ago where
Mhm.
everything just seemed to work. This year, the Avs need Alexander Georgiev to play at the Vezina caliber. We've seen him, show flashes of. They need him to be one save better than the other guy. If he gets hurt, something happens, and you have to go to Justus Annunen, well, it's going to be a battle either way, and you're kind of just then hoping for the same thing out of him. So I think we get a little caught up in the, you need two goaltenders going into the playoffs. You need your number one to play like a number one in the playoffs, and everything else kind of falls into place from there.
Honestly, that logic obviously makes sense. I feel like it's just because so many of the things that happened in the playoffs are like, okay, that worked then. We're going to grab onto it and we can hope that it can happen again. But yes, having your starting goalie play a majority of the games, if not all of them, that's what they get paid to do essentially. So the logic makes sense there. I think we just kind of grab onto the sentimental value of what happened during the cup run and we run with it. Now they did add somebody, and I need you to know, I was reading a little bit about Ivan. Is his middle name also Ivan? Because there are jokes that it is.
I'm not sure. I've seen
that's your job. Next time you see him is to actually ask him.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure because there's areas you can go. There's certain websites where it is listed like that. Yeah. And then there's other areas where it's not. But no, 21-year-old kid, first year in pro playing in the American League. He's had a really good season to start. And this is kind of he was on a little bit of like a show me, deal for the American Hockey League, but he gets on a contract now that can get him called up to the NHL. I think this is a guy that again, they're high on. And for as much, flack as the Avs have gotten for, not hitting on a ton of picks in the third round or later, this is where the Avs have made up a lot of that great value by finding players like Ivan, who are impact players at the pro level, and they can call them up and they can, do spot duty in the NHL. So it's good to see. It's great for the organization. And again, he's a guy that is clearly, pro ready and could be an option for them.
Okay, so you said Ivan. I said Ivan. So Ivan, I'm rolling with you, and I'm trusting you on that one. But the same thing people wonder about, is it Valeri Nichushkin or Valerie Nichushkin?
I think the way that you're saying it is
Valeri.
Correct. I'm sorry. Yes, it is Valeri. I thought you were talking about him. Valeri, yes. Again, I do think that's the correct Russian pronunciation.
Okay.
Valeri, yeah.
Hockey names. You never know. We always just want to double check. Seriously. And I know you're obviously very close to the team, which we always appreciate your time, Jesse. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. Always great chatting with you, Rachel.
Awesome. All right. Jesse Montano, Gorilla Sports. Definitely make sure you follow him on Twitter because he's giving so much great stuff. Jesse, have a wonderful day, and we will look forward to tonight's game against the Red Wings. I almost said Blackhawks again. I was like, here we go again with the Blackhawks. The Red Wings. We will talk to everybody later. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Bye, everyone.
See ya.